have a third meeting of the Board of Trustees. Ask it to come to order. Everyone rise. Please salute the flag. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I ask that everyone please remain standing and we just observe a moment of silence for the victims of Newtown. Thank you. Mr. Drucker, will you please call the roll for attendance?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Mary Adams.
Present.
Anthony Carnaccio.
Here.
John Donnelly. Absent. Arnold Drucker here. Jorge Guardian.
Present.
Richard Gutierrez.
Present.
Jeffrey Prime.
Present.
Farouk Amin.
Present.
Mr. Chairman, we have a quorum.
Thank you, Mr. Drucker.
Mr. Chairman, I present for approval the minutes of the meeting of November 20th, 2012.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any against? Any abstention? So moved. Finance and Capital?
Yes, we have three resolutions. One, a resolution requisition number 60350, 60351, 60352, in the amount of $157,168, as requested by CIO/DTS to provide 64 Hewlett-Packard Compact Elite 8300 small form desktop PCs for the math department, various labs and classrooms, 110 Hewlett-Packard Compact Elite 8300 small form desktop PCs for various labs and classrooms, and 45 Hewlett-Packard ProBook 646-0B notebooks for various labs and classrooms. Am I supposed to read those things?
You don't necessarily have to.
What do I do? Just go to...
Over the end.
You can go right to the resolve.
Yeah.
Just give the requisition numbers.
Resolved that the performance and that expenses in the amount of $157,168 as requested by CIO ITS to provide computers and other equipment, and that $100,000 is requested by the VP of Facilities Public Safety for materials needed for the vehicle registration program, and $272,124.53 as required by the VP of Facilities Management. Emergency work due to Hurricane Sandy be approved.
Do I have a second?
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any against? Any abstention? So moved.
Item number 2 on the calendar is the New York State level of support for community colleges. Be it resolved that the Nassau Community College Board of Trustees, in recognition of the benefits that the level of state support being recommended by the Board of Trustees of the State University of New York, the SUNY Faculty Council of Community Colleges, and the NCC Academic Senate will bring in furtherance of NCC's achieving its mission on behalf of its students and the communities in which they live. It is hereby call for the New York State budget for fiscal year 2013-2014 to include an increase for community colleges of $260 per full-time equivalent, thereby keeping on track the attainment of a level of state funding that by fiscal year 2016-2017 will achieve the goal of having a 33% state share of the operating budgets of New York State's community colleges. Do I have a second?
I second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any against? Any abstention? So moved.
Mr. Chairman, I move that an item that is not on the agenda be added to the agenda as a proposed resolution.
I second it.
I move the following resolution.
Well, all in favor?
Oh, I'm sorry. All in favor?
Aye.
Yes.
Any against?
Yes.
No, any against? Any
All in
abstention?
favor of allowing brought up.
Oh, okay. We have to vote on the motion.
Now, the following resolution resolved, that there is established a temporary committee of the board, the temporary committee on presidential search, hereafter called the temporary committee, the members of whom shall be trustees Prime, Gutierrez, Anin, and Carnacho, and is further resolved that there is established a presidential search committee for the membership of 14 as follows. The 4 members of the temporary committee: Kimberly Reiser as designee of the Academic Senate, Deborah DeSanto as designee of the NCCFT, Lynn Mazzolo as designee of the Department Chairs, Charles Lloyd Cano as designee of the AFA, Denise Gunn as representative of the CSEA chapter, Logan Kenny as designee of the SGA, and designees to be named from the following entities: the community at large, the majority and minority parties of the county legislature, and the county executive's office. The mission of this committee shall be to assist the board in fulfilling its duty to select the president, and it is further resolved that Trustee Camacho is appointed chair of the Presidential Search Committee, and Trustee Amin is appointed as its secretary, and it is further resolved that the temporary committee is empowered to make rules and regulations for the Presidential Search Committee. Resolved further, those appointed to these committees are considered volunteers and shall accept this position if agreed that they are serving voluntarily.
I second the resolution. I'm sorry. I second the resolution.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any against? Any abstention? So moved. Dr. Saunders?
Well, we have some very good news to report from the county legislature. Yesterday, the county legislature approved an amendment to the 2012 county capital budget ordinance. As a result of this amendment, the necessary steps have been taken to anchor the more than $19 million in state capital funding that had been allocated to Nassau Community College as part of the state's 2012 capital budget. There had been a delay in the county's passing this 2012 capital budget, and we have been concerned that there was an increasing risk that if the county has not indicated its willingness to match the state's allocation to the college for these capital projects, then a lot of this money could, to use a diplomatic word, migrate to other community colleges as part of the state's preparation of this 2013 capital budget. As it is, even with yesterday's action by the county legislator, county funding will still need to be appropriated in subsequent years to follow through on this commitment in support of these projects that was made yesterday. But what occurred yesterday, nevertheless, represents a huge step forward. These projects include a new consolidated student services center that will enhance our ability to meet our students' needs in the admissions, registration, and advisement processes in ways that will start off their experience at Nassau Community College in a much more favorable manner, and that will allow us to better serve them throughout their time at the college. For those interested, I can supply a complete list of these projects. Good news like this, to the tune of $19 million, as we know, doesn't just happen. In October, I met with the Deputy County Executive, Rob Walker, to discuss our concerns. I want to thank Mr. Walker for his leadership on this issue and the members of the county legislature for their support. I also want to express my special thanks to Vice President Joe Moscarella, Carol Friedman, and Chuck Catola, who, within each of their responsibilities at the college and by working together, played vital roles in making this good news happen. And I would like to just congratulate them for us getting to this point in the process. I just wanted to let you know that yesterday, representatives of the administration met with representatives from FEMA to begin the reimbursement process for expenditures that we had put out. At our last Board of Trustees meeting, I gave you an approximate figure in terms of what the college has outlaid. FEMA will probably cover about 75% of that amount. The state will cover about 25% of it, and the federal government will, in all likelihood, cover the remaining 5%. The revenue losses that did I add up right? The state will cover 20%. There was something in my head that said there's something wrong with that. But the revenue that we lost as a result of refunds for students who applied for hardship cases is not an expenditure that will be covered by any of these entities. If the president's request for the $60 billion is approved, there is a remote possibility that we can then make an application to have that amount covered with that. But there's nothing that leads me to believe that that is definite. It's just a remote possibility. I also want to let you know that we're also in the process of establishing the composition of the selection committee for the 5 dean positions, and we will probably begin that process in January, the process of moving forward with the selection process in its entirety. And last but certainly not least, I want to wish everyone a safe, a peaceful, and a restful break. And I look forward to seeing all of you in the new year. Thank you.
Now for our speakers, I will just remind everyone that the time limit is 3 minutes. Trustee Amin will be keeping time. First speaker is Kimberly Reiser. It's my understanding that Ed Boyden has yielded his time to Dr. Reiser.
Yes. Good evening, Mr. Chair and members of the board.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Tonight, on behalf of the Academic Senate, I would like to address 2 very important issues. The first issue involves the academic searches, and the second issue involves safety and security on our campus. The Academic Senate is pleased to learn that representative search committees are being formed for the president and the deans. It is our hope that an RFP will be issued immediately for the search firm for the president's search. We are ready and willing right now to roll up our sleeves and begin the laborious process of selecting the next president of Nassau Community College. The best possible president, one who can build a consensus, is a visionary and transformative leader, and an experienced academic committed to the principles of shared governance and academic freedom. The Academic Senate is most concerned about the lack of appropriate measures to ensure the safety of our college community in the event of an active shooter on campus. Since the Virginia Tech shootings, Nassau Community College's Public Safety Department has held a few active shooter drills in the tower and has attended department meetings to discuss safety protocol with the faculty. We appreciate those efforts. However, words, unfortunately, will not stop a deranged person from the slaughter of innocent people if he is determined to do so, as we have learned over and over again in this country. We embrace our mission of being an open access college, but being an open access college should not mean that our college open its doors to any madman who decides to enter our buildings. The doors are not locked for most hours, and in my 24 years of teaching, I have never witnessed an ID check except in the library and the learning rooms. I teach in Building F. Our classroom doors do not lock. I repeat, they do not lock. We have blinds that do not close, and we have no closets to hide in. How is it that I am to protect my students if I hear that an active shooter is down the hall? Unfortunately, by the time I would hear that an active shooter is down the hall, it would be too late. Why? Because we do not even have an intercom or a phone in our classrooms. Even though SUNY has instituted the SUNY alert system, so we are able to get emergency text messages, I fear in most circumstances it would be too late. If we reflect on what happened Friday in Newtown, children's lives were saved because someone, probably the principal, turned on the intercom. As horrible as it must have been for these terrified children and their teachers to listen to the coroner, the teachers were able to understand in a real sense what was going on and how quickly they needed to protect their students. Unlike our public K-12 schools in this county, We do not have a viable, prescribed lockdown procedure at Nassau Community College. I believe it is our obligation and our duty to do so. I close by asking you, our trustees, to form a committee with representatives from the board, administration, faculty, students, and staff to immediately assess the vulnerability of our community to a violent attack and make pragmatic recommendations to ensure the safety of all. Lastly, I would like to pause and acknowledge each and every one of you for the energy and hours you put into serving our college. Thank you for that. I wish you and your families a peaceful and joyous holiday season.
Thank you.
Just a quick question. I know you mentioned a lot of great ideas. Out of all those different options, which one would you say will be, let's say, kind of like most effective in a way that we can achieve at a very short amount of time for the classroom safety? I mean, I know you mentioned the windows, the shades don't close, the door doesn't lock, the intercom, the phone. I mean, which one would you think is the most effective?
All of them.
Option E.
Trustee, I mean, I think it's really difficult to answer that question. And of course, all of these suggestions take money, which is one of the reasons why I'm bringing it to the board, because we have to dedicate funds to ensure the safety of our students. I think communication is very, very important. Being able to, the SUNY alert system, as we all know, the text messaging is good, but that's not adequate if there's an active shooter.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Sandra.
I said she heard that. I said she.
Before I end the semester, by wishing you and your families well, I want to relate a chance conversation I had with a retired NCC administrator last week. This high-ranking former administrator applauded the PERB ruling upholding our long-standing practice of converting temporary to probationary lines once crossing over to the 5th semester. The former administrator emphasized the correctness of the decision, as this practice was common knowledge and had been honored on our campus for years. I explained that John Gross had not argued past practice, but rather managerial rights. The administrator looked a bit shocked and said that would never have happened just a few years ago. I thought about that former administrator's comments for a long time and realized the meaning of that comment. Just a few years ago, neither the administration nor the Board of Trustees would have ever authorized John Gross to pursue such a course of action against the faculty. So then I started thinking, what has changed? This administration and this Board of Trustees have decided that just because you can do something, you will. This was never the controlling philosophy of this campus. Instead, our campus used to be governed by common sense and the spirit that we are all in this together. The NCCFT, for example, has never filed as many grievances or sued in court as often as we could have because we had a genuine partnership with which to work out any differences or issues. To truly heal this campus, and I'm repeatedly asked what we need to do to heal this campus or see it through these tough times, we need to discard just because you can do something, you will, and return to the philosophy of just because you can do something doesn't mean you should. So it's my hope that when we enter into the 2013 full-blown negotiations, we use this adage as our guidepost. This means that both sides will propose items that will permit NCC to remain, as it has for decades, a top-ranked community college on the East Coast. I want to wish you all and your families a happy, healthy, and peaceful New Year. Thank you.
Thank you.
Frank Casanda? I think I saw him.
No, it's not.
Okay. Michael Stoyer? Good evening.
I'm Michael Sawyer, first vice chair of the Academic Senate, but about to be retired in just a few days after 46 and a half years of service to Nassau Community College and its students. I've attended. Thank you. I've attended many board meetings as a Senate representative during the past 4 decades, often being one of the only observers in the room. I applaud your current efforts to listen to the faculty and other speakers, even asking probing questions when you consider it appropriate. I'm not a union spokesperson, and their leaders often speak to you on union issues, so I will not comment other than to say that I am disappointed that you do not seem to react to them in a constructive manner. With regard to academic issues, you seem to be more attentive, and I do appreciate that. In that vein, I would like to caution you about just a few academic matters that I feel merit your attention in the coming months. The presidential search seems to be getting off to a much delayed start, and carrying this into the summer months will not allow for a much needed verification of references and not provide a chance for the candidates to visit the college during the regular semester. That's what happened the last search. Similar thing. I fear that this will weaken the search. Another item, I've spoken before about academic leadership on the cabinet level of the administration. There are other ways to accomplish this without hiring a permanent vice president for academic affairs. As many of you may know, the SUNY trustees appear to be overstepping their authority in dictating curriculum to the community colleges. They just had a big vote a few days ago this week. We desperately need a strong academic spokesperson who can represent NCC at the state level. Another item, the college is about to undergo a complete self-study to maintain our accreditation by the Middle States Commission on Higher Education. Although we, the Senate leadership, have urged the administration to appoint 1 or 2 well-respected and trusted faculty leaders to head the study, they have thus far failed to do so. Recent reports that have been sent by the college to Middle States have contained errors and opinions of the writers that, while presented as fact, are distortions of the truth. A continuation in this manner will not result in a meaningful self-study and will further jeopardize our accreditation. Another item, Kimberly has already spoken of the urgent need to improve emergency procedures on our campus.
30 seconds.
And I implore you to look into this. Please be reminded that the murder of Congresswoman McCarthy's husband and 5 others on the Long Island Railroad 19 years ago was a former Nassau student who would have continued his deadly rampage at Adelphi if he had not been stopped. The risks are close to home. You'll hear about other items in the future, and I hope you'll react in the best interest of our college and our students. I wish you the joys of Christmas, New Year's, and the other holidays to come as I embark on new adventures.
That being the end of the speakers list, I want to thank everyone. I want to certainly wish everyone a happy and joyous holiday season. I want to certainly, once again, wish Michael Sawyer the best in retirement. That's 46 years, 46 and a half years, I'm sorry.
But who's counting?
I won't tell you how that compares on my time on this planet.
You were not a twinkle then.
Chair, I would also like to point out that as a timekeeper, we saved 7 minutes and 50 seconds.
So everybody sleep late. The next Capital and Finance Committee meeting will take place at a date and time certain in January of 2013, with the specific date and time to be announced in accordance with the notice requirements of the rules of the Board of Trustees specified in Article 4, Section 4 of the rules. The next board meeting will take place at a date and time certain in January 2013, with the specific date and time to be announced in accordance with the notice requirements of the rules of the Board of Trustees specified in Article 4, Section 4 of the rules. I will now entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Well,
I apologize. Thank you.
Yeah, we're going to go into executive session, then come down and adjourn, right?
Right. Thank you. I will now entertain a motion to go into executive session for the purpose of...
For the purpose of...
What were you going to say?
Some people want to hear me talk. For the purpose of discussing matters relating to the collective bargaining involving the NCCFT, to discuss matters relating to grievance filed with the AFA that is currently the subject of the Step 3 hearing, to discuss matters leading to the appointment, promotion, or removal of the president, officer in charge, academic deans, and certain other ungraded administrators, to discuss the proposed acquisition, sale, or lease of real property. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. You guys can leave, but we're going back there.